So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maurya Hanspal, and in this session, we're going to talk about the value investing. We're going to discuss what exactly is the value investing principle as suggested by Mr. Warren Buffett, and what exactly do we mean by that and how to use it. So this is all about value investing. Okay. So what exactly do we mean by value investing? And this strategy was proposed by Mr. Warren Buffett. Now, a large number of persons have started to talk about this strategy. But initially, it was talked about and it came into the discussion by Mr. Warren Buffett. Okay. So, what exactly do we mean by the value investing strategy? So, by the value investing strategy is something invest in value companies. And what are the value companies? The value companies are basically which might not be trading at a very high value like presently, or might not be recognized by a large number of investors and the general public, but those companies might have a potential for future. Let's take a basic example. Like, for example, if we talk about the steel industry, right? And a large number of the companies are into the steel industry, which are the established mature players. For example, your Tata Steel, your Jindal Steel, your JSW Steel, Hindalco, and all these companies. These companies are the mature companies, and the demand from these companies is very high. And as a result, the prices of these companies are also very high because the basic principle of stock market, the higher the demand, the higher would be the price of the shares in the stock market, right? And as we have seen in the budget also, and through the earlier policies by the government, that is nowadays the government have started to figure out or started to talk about the capex theme or the capital expenditure theme, right? And they have been starting to focus on the companies. And when the real estate demand is high, obviously the sectors that would be allied to the real estate would also be there, right? For example, if you want to build a house or construct a property, you need cement, you need paint, and you need metals. And steel is one of the most important metal, a ferrous metal that is being used for the construction activities. Also for the purpose of constructing highways, bridges, flyovers, and all these things. Right? So we require the use of steel. Now there might be some companies that might be undervalued at this point of time. Means those companies might not be able to get recognized as compared to Tata Steel or JSW Steel or Jindal Steel. But those companies will have some manufacturing capacity, and those companies are in the process of manufacturing and expanding and diversifying their operations as well. They're trying to increase their productive activities, they're trying to maximize their production, and all these things are going on. And a point will come when the demand for those companies, which are the undervalued at that time or unrecognizable by a large number of people, the demand for these companies will also start to rise. That is one thing you need to take into consideration for. Okay, so because see, the demand would be so much because ultimately we know that the supply of all the commodities, be it the metals or the non-metals or the agri commodities, the supply is too less in the market. But the demand is very high because all these policy measures have come into the market. A large number of initiatives have been started by the government. So talking about all these policies and initiatives, so basically the demand would be very high, but the supply would be very low. And not always these companies like Jindal Steel, Tata Steel, or JSW Steel and Dalco will be able to fulfill the demand because ultimately the demand is very high and these companies are still manufacturing their capabilities. So the demand will start shifting. I'm not saying that the demand for the mature companies would not be there and these companies would come down. The demand for these companies would be there, but these companies would not be able to meet the excess demand. And as a result of the excess demand, people would be demanding the same steel from some other companies. And those might be some the mid cap companies or small cap companies which might be undervalued at this point of time. Okay, so these companies, we say that these companies have a value because these companies can support the capex theme of the Indian government, can support the infrastructure theme. Similarly, see, like this was like one of the example. The second example can be like when we talk about the real estate industry, because under the PM, like PM Awas Yojana, like 8,000 crore homes like have to be built up, and a budget of like 48,000 crores has been like implemented for that program. Like when we talk about the PM Awas Yojana, I'll just show you something. Like when we talk about the PM Awas Yojana, if this was something like which I prepared regarding the budget. When we talk about the PM Awas Yojana, see, there is something about the PM Awas Yojana. Here, see, housing में 80 lakh houses will be completed under the PM Awas Yojana under both the rural and the urban housing, and 48,000 crores have been allocated for the same. Right. So it means if the real estate sector is coming on a boom, for the construction of the properties or for the construction of the real estate, you people need steel, cement, paints, right? So a large number of the companies that manufacture these things that might be undervalued at this point of time, the demand for those companies might increase. And these companies might be at their par value, that is at the fair value, like these companies might come in future. Because at the present point, like no one is recognizing these companies. And that is the reason why the share price of these companies is very low. And as suggested by Mr. Warren Buffett also, this person clearly said that undervalued companies may like realize the potential because these companies might be having a future potential. And that does not mean that the potential will be realized now or like 6 months from now or like 1 year from now. Sometimes it take more than 6 to 7 years as well to realize the full potential. But when the potential will come, the potential will be so high that you would be like very happy with your returns. So that is something. So basically, these companies have a future potential. The third reason can be they might be supporting a theme which has just emerged. Like for example, when we talk about the electric vehicle theme. So this electric vehicle theme has like recently emerged in past 2 to 3 years, right? So what is the basic benefit of EV? The largest benefit of EV is we would be able to reduce our oil import bills because more than 4 trillions to 8 trillions of oil import is being done from outside India. So if we can reduce our dependence on oil and just shift to EV, then a large dependence will be reduced on oil, right? Now to make an EV, like you need the auto component manufacturers. Like there should be some specific companies to make the EV components. Also, batteries are also needed. So all those companies that might be supporting this theme, because earlier the EV theme came outside India first. Okay, the theme of EV it came abroad first. Whereas there were some companies in India that still used to supply the EV components outside India. But now even the Indian government and the Indian economy has started to realize the potential in this electric vehicle theme. So all the companies that were undervalued at that time, all the companies that were undervalued at that time, they can have a big progress. Like for example, Sona Comstar is there. Even the Tata has like enjoyed the whole EV theme. Like you have because Tata, like when I talk about Tata and the EV theme, they have the Tata Motors for the manufacturing of vehicles. They have the Tata Power for the energy. They have Tata Elxsi for that IoT technology. They have Tata Green for the batteries. Like when we talk about Mahindra, so in Mahindra we have the buses and the two wheelers, auto rickshaws. For JBM Auto, we have again like for the electric buses, and also like we have like when we talk about the Minda Industries or KPIT Tech. So all these companies have a great value in future. Even like when we talk about the clean energy theme or the renewable power theme, because again like these are the themes and all the companies that were supporting the clean energy, like when this coal and all were being used, like these companies were getting undervalued because these companies had a future potential, but these companies were not being getting recognized, right? So that one thing should be taken into consideration. So all the companies, maybe the supply, maybe the demand might exceed the supply, and as a result, some people might shift to the smaller tier companies. It can also enhance the values of the company because even the history has also shown a certain number of the companies. I'm not saying a large number of the companies, but a certain number of the companies that possess the values can transform from a small cap company to a mid cap company and finally to the large cap company. A small cap company is a company that has a market capitalization of less than 5,000 crores. Now, what is market capitalization? Market capitalization is nothing but the number of shares outstanding or the freely floating shares available in the market into the price. So, a small cap company is nothing but a company that has a market capitalization of less than 5,000 crores. A mid cap company is something that has a market capitalization of from 5,000 crores to 20,000 crores. And a large cap company is a company that has a market capitalization of more than 20,000 crores. Okay. So history has shown that a good chunk of companies, not a very large chunk of companies, but those companies that possess a value or they follow a particular theme, like a clean energy, EV theme, and nowadays we can see even the pet care industry is being coming up, right? So all these companies get transferred from the small cap company to a mid cap company and ultimately become a large cap company. Because currently we are into the phase of expansion diversification. So new companies would come up. And even this PLI scheme has also come in. That is the production linked incentive scheme. So what do we mean by the production linked incentive scheme? If these producers are producing up to a certain limit, like for example, if the government gives a limit that you have to produce up to like 20,000 units, and once this 20,000 limit is breached, and like someone is producing even 20,100 units or 20,200 units, like he will be given some incentives from the government, either in form of subsidies and all these stuff. Okay, so all those companies that can support these themes, like some new emerging themes, EV, clean energy, or renewable power, these companies would do well in future. And that is, we have to find out the companies that possess enough values, because not every company will form, like will have a value. Because a large number of companies get kicked out of the index, be the small cap index or the large cap index, because they're not able to perform. So not every company will have a value. So you need to see that which company can support a future theme in the market, and that you need to know. Okay.